like to call the Government Services Committee meeting for Monday, October 23rd to order. Roll call, please.
Okay.
Here.
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 Yes.
Here.
Here. Here. Here. Here.
All right, thank you. Full house. Item number 4, the omnibus vote.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the omnibus vote.
Second.
Roll call, please. Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Thank you very much. All right, item 5A, a presentation of snow and ice removal program. Good evening.
Keep going, sneak it through.
This program is kind of designed to have an overview of operation. Push it, I'm trying to bring it down to the 10,000 foot view without getting too far.
Yeah, we got that. Yeah.
We're looking at a 3-year average.
No, that one, no.
We've got our automated grinding for 3 years.
what is the coldest temperature that we have something that will melt snow and ice? I've had this question before. Yeah, not so much longer, though.
So much longer.
You have a copy, though, don't you?
Little peek ahead, just in case.
Looking ahead at this season, I noticed some of the ice events before, but
And if I missed this, I apologize. Just out of curiosity, when we sell to the school district or the township, did you say we sell to them what we pay? Okay. We don't mark it up. Okay.
AJ, question for you. Main Street sidewalks, who is responsible for shoveling the sidewalks in front of all the storefronts? So and that's in our ordinance? So that's a code enforcement issue if they fail to shovel the, okay, all right, okay, thank you.
Quick question. In regards to contractors, services and all that, especially for residential subdivisions, is there a procedure where they're supposed to come out first before the plows come through, or do they come out after? Is there communication back and forth?
yeah, we try to time them so that we're maximizing their work.
Mm-hmm.
If it's early in the event, and it's coming out like, big busters, we'll try to jump in and have them come through and clean up after us. Or it could be times where we say, hey, I need you to start at 2 a.m. If it doesn't materialize, like, all right, starting to push as soon as you're done. So it's constant communication between our shift boss and.
So they take a lead. They don't just come out there whenever they feel like it. And then if there's like a 10 or 12-hour event, excuse me, what's the typical pattern for coming out? Do you come out once, twice, 3 times, or it seems like it's like 2 times, but I get that you need snow on the ground to come back out. I understand that.
It really depends. Sometimes it's 2.5 times.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, the snow, 2 inches over a 4-hour period, and we know they started here and ended here. So stuff that they ended on
It's already done.
they started on, like, they do the first time here on again. So it is really a situation.
Okay, thank you.
So I, just to follow up to Brian's question, and this came up last year, or maybe this winter. So across from East High School and Red Lake, it comes up the first snowfall. Who's responsible for making sure that that pathway for kids who are walking to school is accessible, and it's, you know, who owns that?
Two questions. Who's responsible? I don't know. I think the park district don't come with it, residents, they don't come with it. We do it after the event. It's kind of what we have right now.
So the sidewalk all the way down Dunham on the side of Fox Chase, where, so if you've got kids who are trying to cross and they're coming down to the light, so they're trying to come down to the light to cross there at that main point, the number of calls that have come through in the last year of it's never plowed, who's responsible, and I guess there was somebody, I think a resident who was there who was doing it a little bit, but I think has said stop. So I reached out last year to the school district to kind of put that on the radar, didn't really hear back. So is it just kind of no man's land, park district, school, you know, because...
I'm the first.
Yeah, I have a lot of history with this particular site. And so, as AJ said, as far as I know, without having the map in front of me, the city of St.Charles is not owning the property there along that sidewalk. So technically, we're responsible. Do we help out when we get a call, and we have people available to go out and do it, typically after our events are done and after our staff is complete? We've gone out there in the past and cleared that. But it is not our responsibility. Generally speaking, it is the property owners that is adjacent to that sidewalk's responsibility. The problem there is that most of those back areas have a big wooden fence that are on the back area, and they don't think about the sidewalk that's on the other side of their wooden fence. So it is a no man's land in essence. We work with the park district, with the school district in the past. They don't have the staff and the ability to commit to it as the event is going on, or 2 hours before school starts, right? And it's important to do that. And typically we don't either, because we're out doing exactly what AJ just described. So it is a tough area.
Who's doing the path, like, that goes to Munhall? There's that pathway that goes in between, or Banbury, kind of opens up in there, and also like that, they call it the secret sidewalk in between like Allen Lane and Allen.
Typically, if the city owns the property, the city is clearing the adjacent sidewalk and the border of trail. It's a little confusing, I've made this many times. There's one ordinance in town that requires adjacent property owners to remove snow from the sidewalk adjacent to them, and that is in the downtown snow district. So if you look at the city's code, the downtown snow district is clearly outlined. It's a little jagged, it's not really easy to define, but it's generally the downtown area between third, I believe, and then as far south as Prairie. That's the only municipal code that's in our code that requires someone to remove snow. So that means that we do have to deal with a lot of neighborly disputes about who is required to remove snow from the sidewalks, because quite frankly, nobody's required to do that work except in the downtown. So there's a lot of questions about that, typically annually, especially with a lot of new all the people up here today. Wanted to make sure that everybody kind of understands that. So if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer.
I think I'll add to that. We had that issue, I think, a couple of years ago at Davis by Horn and 7th, where people were clearing their sidewalks, but it was all kind of encompassing and filling up on the corners. And I think there was some confusion on who's supposed to follow up with that.
Again, so there's no legitimate code that requires anybody to do that work. So that's what AJ was mentioning earlier. What we'll do after events is we'll try to hit those areas as quickly as possible. So if we have 2 or 3 events in a row and the snow's starting to pile up in the corners, what we'll do is we'll start removing that snow from the corners with heavy equipment and trucks. That makes it a little easier for the adjacent property owners to deal with it, because if you can imagine you live on the corner, I happen to live on the corner, and snow gets piled up on the corner, it can be difficult.
Sure.
So we will do that if we get requests, and what we just automatically we'll try to start to get out after we're done hauling snow from our property to start hauling snow from the corners, especially in key areas like this.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm curious, and I don't know if anyone up here knows the answer, have we ever considered any kind of ordinances about things like if you live near a bus stop, or if your property has a reason why your sidewalk should be cleared in that area? I'm thinking of examples in our neighborhood where we've had these kinds of complaints, where someone is a property owner, lives near a bus stop, does not clear their sidewalk, and kids are having trouble getting to the bus stop. I don't know if that's something historically that's ever been explored.
This is my 13th winter here in St. Charles. That discussion has been had by the city council twice that I can recall, but currently there's no difference.
Yeah, well, so, and this goes back to my question that, with the downtown snow district, and any of this, is because all these sidewalks are in the right of way. So anytime you require somebody to shovel, requiring them to shovel, city lands too. Does that ever come up? Because I was going to ask about that with the downtown district, because it always comes up, because there's a part of the downtown snow district that we clear and that we take responsibility for, and then I'll have conversations with business owners that have right past that, and they're like, how come I don't get my sidewalks cleared? And you go, and it's pretty clearly laid out in the city code. But with it, and let me add to it, it's just, because I always think, well, it's always worked, but, with those being in the sidewalks are in the right of way, correct? Typically. And with all that, well, how come I have to do it? How come somebody else isn't going to do it? You're like, well, where do you start? Where do you stop? Because it seems like we're like, well, it's worked, and this is historically what we do. It's in the code. But as much as you can give guidance on any of those conversations that you've been a part of in the past, how do you get somebody to clear their sidewalks? You kind of can't.
Again, in the downtown district, code enforcement,
Right.
in my opinion, because there is city code that requires that. It does cause confusion when we remove the snow from sidewalks that aren't facing our property.
Mm-hmm.
What we've instructed our staff to do is not lift the blade, not lift the broom, not stop throwing stuff as we're traveling from one parcel to another. That has caused confusion in the past, and I think that's what you're alluding to by one business saying, hey, someone's giving treatment that I'm not giving. So we're asking folks to be aware of that's the strategy, but we could simply do that. We could simply instruct our staff and say, we've got 50 feet of sidewalk, and then 300 feet down the road, we've got another 50 feet, lift the blade for that.
I personally think it makes sense to be helpful if it's no skin off our back, and we'll just deal with the confusion.
Exactly.
But it goes with all of it where I don't know if there's a blanket thing that you can say, but it's in the right of way. We're not going to clear everything. It's snow. Go watch Christmas Story and realize that we've always had to deal with stuff.
You mentioned the city right away.
Yeah.
Residents are required to maintain the driveway apron, just like they're required to maintain the parkway, the grass and everything else that's in there. So there's municipal code that can be interpreted that folks are supposed to do that. And those typically the types of discussions we have with people when there's a problem, like someone just hasn't done it, and it's 3 inches of ice on the sidewalk, we'll remind folks that you're already maintaining things that you're shoveling, you're driveway apron, you're mowing the grass, things like that.
Okay.
This makes sense, right?
I appreciate that. That's actually kind of what I was looking for.
Sure.
All right, anybody else? No? All right, so here, thank you. Item 5D, a recommendation to approve a resolution awarding the bid for fire station facility improvements.
These next two items are also tied to the Gulf Coast Roof project that was awarded this summer. That's $600,000 under budget. Finance department and public works software, that is kind of up there for the capital plan for the next 5 years. So we're moving the project into 5 years. So, as noted in executive summary, fire stations 2 and 3 are identical. They were built in consecutive years, 37 and 36 years ago respectively. And not a lot has been done to them functionally or aesthetically in that time. Fire department budgeted funds for an interior improvement project at Station 2 this year, with Station 3 being scheduled for next year. But when the facility funds became available from the Gulf Coast Roof project, this was an easy one to move in. So Public Works and Fire Department prepared a scope that consists of improvements to living spaces, specifically replacement of the kitchen cabinets, countertops, and appliances, as well as floor, ceiling, and lighting improvements throughout the living area, including some office and the washroom. We prepared an RFP to complete this work. We received 6 qualified responsibles with Midland partner of Chalmers and the lowest bid. The general contractor represents experience in the area, performing without commercial applications, including offices, restaurants, and there are no questions. My recommendation is to authorize the contract with Midland Construction Partners for the building services.
I just real quick, actually, since Bill's here, I know it's Government Services Committee, but I have a finance question really quick. I do support this. I have no problem supporting the fire department, but something like this where we have a large savings, that's what you're saying, is we save money. Bill, you mentioned a couple weeks, was it last week actually, or a couple weeks ago, that we, essentially paid for the plaza, with these types of savings and what have you. Can we get updates on when these, obviously we'll know at the end of the year when we see we have a surplus. It's probably because of some of these savings and things like that. But, members up here have mentioned that they'd like regular, more robust, financial updates and things like that. So I'm just wondering, this is a great amount of savings, and I'm glad the fire department's going to benefit from it. Is there any way that we can get, or do you think that there's value maybe every quarter getting some sort of report on savings like this, where we can do things like this and add that to our budget discussion?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think looking forward, discussion about what the budget is, what is it for. Through that, there was discussions of, are there some things that are identified that make sense to move forward now, especially given the time that certain things need to get done. So I think the process being the quote that we come back with and then have a discussion with the committee about who the quote is. But and that answers your question. Sure, I can find out if there's a format or topic.
I don't know, does it happen, it must happen enough that we could pay for the plaza and pay for the fire department, right? Do you see it happening every month, or I'm just curious?
Well, plaza was really funds that were identified in the previous fiscal year.
Okay.
This is really something that occurred in the current fiscal year, with the book this, and then public works staff sitting down and kind of determining, is there something, some ways to take advantage of this and move this project. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, yeah. Just a thought, as we have more and more discussions get closer to our workshop, these types of savings, I think, are great, and it's great information to know as a policy and budgeting body, so, thank you.
Okay. I just echo David's comments, but perhaps we can dig in deeper at the budget meeting in January and just kind of come up with a game plan for something like that.
Sure. Okay. 2 questions. If we have the exact same work being done in 2 different buildings, how come one is more expensive than the other? Across the board.
Right, the way it was bid was that based on alternate, so we're getting the schedule that we at the exact same time. Speaking with Midwest, if we're running a simultaneous project or a current project, then they're going to hold their price. So I'm kind of representing, if we get held up because of delays in manufacturing, cabinet contracts, whatever, all that material workstation too. If we're held up, then we're going to require some time to make this deal. We're running 2 projects where they were not going up from one week to the next. Yep.
Okay, because it was, at least those are the 2 closest. And how come there's not a line for replacement of cabinets? I see cabinets coming out, but we're not replacing them?
So the way we drafted the RFP is that we're hiring a general contractor, but also trying to fit a budget. So we previously purchased the cabinet just for a timeline standpoint.
Okay. So we already own the cabinets that are going in?
We own the cabinets for Station 2, yeah. And if this didn't work out, we're going to figure out how we self-perform when it's that cabinet.
Fair.
Yeah, that's where we're at with
You know what? You just told me that you're doing it, you know, a lot of elbow grease and making it work, and I like how that sounds.
Trying to find a way to project that is on a firefighter alone.
Okay. You got me.
You know, I just look, it says they're building 86 and 87 and nothing's been done since. Is there a more comprehensive plan with some of our other facilities to make sure we're not waiting almost 40 years before we have to all of a sudden feel like, oh, now this problem's here, this problem, now we have major problems? Is there something more we're keeping up with in the future? So to kind of stopgap or catch things earlier so it's not.
Fire stations are a little unique, and we've been kind of analyzing our defects and improvements on an ongoing basis. We also improvements for other departments, particularly a lot of departments get replaced in the last year. You know, if there's turnover in offices with a lot of these things, there's never turnover in living quarters in the fire department. They're always using the facility. It's never been like a great opportunity time to talk about it. I think when Chief Swanson kind of took that on, from deputy to chief, he kind of made this a priority. That's what
Thank you.
Approval?
Second.
Moved by Paul, second by David. Roll call, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
That passes. Item 5E, a recommendation to approve a resolution authorizing a contract with R.J. O'Neill, Inc. for rooftop air handler replacements at City Hall and Century Station.
There's facility City Hall and Century Station has 5 air handler units. When the exact equipment there, in recent years, certain units require some pretty extensive hand tooling to keep them functional, particularly in the 90-degree high humidity days. We have been working with our contractor to keep them functional, but this was an easy one to say, when one became available, let's push through some forward. This one up on the list. We prepared an RFP for close to 10 units with the modern equipment, as well as upgrade the control system. Currently at City Hall, especially, we have no way for remote monitor or random control. So thermostats actually do it all, which is grossly behind the times for three responses with solicitations, with our data managing what's called like a proposal. RJ is to provide separate company similar to what works for municipalities, districts, and manufacturing facilities. Current lead time for the longest attendance for the 2 weeks, meaning we're looking at July next year, hopefully before the heating season.
Move for approval.
Second.
Yeah.
Question. This is for everything. This is for removal of the old units, hauling away everything, right?
We're taking advantage of, probably the grant control.
Yeah. Maybe you mentioned this and I just didn't it's going to take 32 weeks to get the units? And then what if it's longer than that? Is the price still locked in if it's beyond 32 weeks? Okay. All right.
All right, so original by David, seconded by Bob. Roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Public comments? Additional items from council? Yes.
So I had a couple residents near the former Goose complain about some boxes, garbage behind the building. I know we have new ownership. It's still, as of yesterday, it's still there. There's papers flying around. There's cardboard flying around. And this is like the third request to get it cleaned up. What do we need to do to get it cleaned up?
I know that the property owner was in a notice of violation today, and he did his response saying that we received it. We've got hired someone to go out and clean it up.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
I have one. a couple weeks ago when we, last month, sorry, the First Street update, for a future time, has there been any discussion about security camera? I know we talked about the parking garage at times, but now would be the time that we're doing the infrastructure. I don't know if this is already planned of, cameras or what type of security in that space with the river and coordinating with the parking garage. So if we can have some sort of offline conversation, what's already in the works, or if it's something that potentially this, group needs to look more at, but conversation of security seems to be super important, especially with the parking garage and what this space is going to mean to downtown.
Yeah, we can take a look at that. I do know that the First Street project itself does not have any security, features or cameras or anything, included in that project. There are some cameras that are around the perimeter that we can look at and see if we've got the right angles to pick up what you're talking about.
Yeah, and like, the idea that the timing right now when you're building the infrastructure would make sense as opposed to maybe 2 years from now, somebody saying, you know what, we should put some cameras in. Like,
I'm coming in agreement with Ryan here. I'm wondering if there is something that we can, if this is gonna be our prime showcase place where people are going to be throughout the day and night and after hours, it would be great to have, in a sense, some bigger eyes on it if something unfortunate were to happen. It's kind of the thought behind it, especially with the amount of investment we've kind of put into this place. I think it's something that would be great. Yeah.
And that's something we could talk about at our next committee meeting as well. Peter is at those meetings as well, so not to say we should wait till December for that, but if we want to discuss that more amongst any of us, please do.
Sure, sounds good. Keith, is there any?
Yeah, I was thinking, I wondered if the chief could chime in if he knows the camera situation right now on that property. Sight lines, I know that the city has some cameras, I just don't know what you're able to see right now.
We did add a number of cameras, in greater downtown, including the parking garage. There is neither, and there is one, currently at the site. There is some plan to have future expansion, so we do have the DVR space, but I think the wiring and some of the, what I'll say, was a good question. They're IP-based cameras, so they can connect via the internet, but, surely take a look at that.
Yeah,
We do have some in place right now.
I would obviously, submit to, depending on sight lines, what you can and can't see. Probably hard to tell until some of the structure is really up to see what you have clear angles on, and, so I'd be interested to see what your thoughts are on that.
Thank you.
With the kiosks going up, if there's a way to put them on that. Well, the electronics won't be in until later. That might be a prime spot to see it with the chief's input, sight lines.
yeah, and I think if I'm hearing from a lot of people, there's a lot of similar conversations that are happening offline of, the excitement starting to build around this, security, parking garage. So with that, looking for a motion to adjourn.
We'll move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
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 All right, thank you. Have a good evening.
People, well done.